goes, well, yeah, that sounds like the penny method. I was like, the penny method? There are methods? So he starts explaining it to me, and he goes, okay, imagine a girl is a piggy bank, which, interesting analogy, but hear me out. In order to get her interested, obviously at first you have to be feeding her $100 bills. But putting in $100 bills is a lot of work, and you don't always want to be doing that. So eventually you reduce it to 90. Now she's going to feel the decrease in effort, but it's only 10%. So if she tries to bring it up, she's going to sound crazy at this point. Now here's where it gets sick. The next thing you do is you bump it back up to 95. Now, instead of feeling like she lost 5, which is how she would feel if you went directly from 100 to 95, suddenly she feels like she's gained 5. But you are still putting in 5% less effort. Basically, you just keep repeating this cycle and weaning her off your effort until you get to the point where you're giving her pennies and suddenly she's excited to receive a nickel. The idea that men might actually think like this makes me so afraid. Like, is this boy math? Because I don't like it. Anyways, be safe out there, ladies. I think the takeaway message in all of this is that we should never be accepting anything less than $100 bills.
I'm more focused on the last part. This is not an average man, right? This way of thinking, right? The whole thing she described is not an average man. It is the players, the bad boys, the Chads, the Tyrones, right? The top 20% of men who put so much effort in how to play or treat women. And yet she talks about men, right? I hate when this shit happens. I hate when women do that shit. When you only deal with a small subset of men and you think that equates to men. I personally believe no average man thinks like this. No average man makes it out to be like this, some kind of like weird ass game, right? This is kind of mind trick shit. I don't think so. Prove me wrong, right? If average men actually think like this, then tell me, right? But I don't believe this. I only believe that the top 20% of men who deals with a lot of women, right? Men that are desired, have options. They have these kind of games. They have these kind of mind tricks. You know, not the average man. So it's the thing where women will still have to deal with this shit. Why? Because they desire the top level men, right? They desire the top 20% of men, the men that are men have options. So women will and willingly play these kind of games. Because why? Because they want these type of men, right? At the end of the day, I always say that women choose these shit to happen to them because they choose those type of men. So it is ridiculous. I honestly hate it when women think that they can say men as a majority, as a collective, when again they only deal with a small subset of men. It's ridiculous.
So this new argument I've been hearing online is that men will date broke girls and be generous to them, but women will not date broke men and subsidize his life. But I don't feel like this is the right comparison, because you know who men won't date? Women they find ugly. And I say this loosely because attraction is subjective, but no man will date a woman he is not attracted to. But women love medium ugly guys who have an amazing personality, high EQ, and has his life together. That can make him the most attractive guy in our eyes. Our brains don't work the same. The things we care about are not the same. The things we find attractive are not the same. So we need to stop using this man logic to argue in the name of equality and feminism. If he doesn't want to pay for dates or buy you flowers, then girl, just go find someone else. Don't let him lower your standards just because
Pretty much the only thing I agreed about is that our brains don't work the same. I was just watching this clip of what is it, those 600-pound 600-pound shows with people who are like massively overweight. There's this one. I just saw these clips where most of the women on there who are absolutely, utterly obese they have men. And they have men who, I wouldn't say that a lot of the men are not like massively obese, not comparatively, right? These men are not as obese, but they're fat men. not the most desired man, but they have boyfriends. A lot of the men I see on there have no one. Women don't ever understand. Men would trade. Men understand the meaning of loneliness, okay? Because men, it's not easy to find a partner when you're a man. It is not. So yeah, men would actually sacrifice looks for someone that just wants to be with them, for someone who has a good personality, right? I'm not saying that the woman's absolutely hideous sometimes, but she's not the most attractive in his eyes. But he finds her personality more attractive, all other attributes more attractive. So he would definitely be with her and be fine with it. This is where women that, and this is ridiculous sometimes, women that use the medium ugly thing is ridiculous. It's because it's to really distinguish, oh, I think he's medium ugly, but he's not that ugly, but he's not that good looking. I've heard women saying Ryan Gosling, or like Michael B. Jordan, medium ugly. So really, like, women's idea of attractiveness is very skewed in what they think is good looking. Men will definitely, right, like I said, go down in looks for other traits. Women will always find it as a sacrifice, or as settling when they sacrifice other traits, right, for other traits. Because in my honest opinion, women generally want perfection. So really, this is why I think women's logic is so weird and skewed and very emotion based, because it fluctuates, right? Women's logic fluctuates, right? Because they want to be very ambiguous with what they want and their ideas of things. But I also think that women ideas also skewed in the sense that they only view, let's say, the top percent of men, right? The men with options. I think this woman, right, is not even talking about average men. She's not even talking about most men. She's talking about a small subset of men. Men that have options, right? Men of top caliber, right? Men that are socially calibrated, good looking, men that can get women easily. So her view is skewed, where it's not men, it's a small set of men. And that's why I think a lot of women's arguments are that kind of way, right? Or it's skewed to only a small percent of men. Because the men that have options, yeah, most likely why would they settle for a ugly girl when they have plenty of other women that will want to be with them? But the issue is that women think these small subset of men pretty much equals all men or majority of men, when these men are barely the minority. They're they're like the 10% of men, the top 20% of men. So they don't even equal the majority of men. So women are just skewed in how they think. Their logic is just whack.